There's an old saying in America: put your money where your mouth is. It's the kind of no nonsense challenge that cuts through the noise, the moment when confidence meets consequence and talk becomes costly. And in 1968, one of the most famous scientists in the country was about to learn that lesson the hard way. His name was Paul Ehrlich, Stanford professor, media darling, the kind of expert who got invited on The Tonight Show to talk about the fate of humanity. His book, The Population Bomb, was a runaway bestseller. The message was alarming and direct. America was consuming too much. The planet was running out of resources. Mass starvation was inevitable, and the collapse of civilization was only a matter of time. People listened. Magazines ran cover stories. Politicians took notice. Because when a Stanford professor tells you the world is ending, it's hard not to pay attention. But here's where the story takes a turn. An economist named Julian Simon had heard enough. He believed human ingenuity, not doom, was the defining force of progress. So he did something very American. He made Ehrlich a bet. The terms were simple. Ehrlich would pick $1,000 worth of any 5 metals he was certain would become scarce and expensive as civilization unraveled. If the prices rose over the next 10 years, Simon would pay him the difference. If they fell, Ehrlich would write the check. Ehrlich accepted without hesitation. He was the expert. He had the data. He had the credentials. He had been on television. 10 years later, he mailed Simon a check for $576.07. Every single metal had dropped in price, not because the world ran out of resources, but because human beings, given the right incentives, found smarter ways to produce, substitute, and innovate. The very collapse Ehrlich had staked his reputation on never came. In the stock market, while Ehrlich was predicting catastrophe, the S&P 500 quietly went on to grow by over 10,700%. So here's the uncomfortable truth about experts. Philip Tetlock, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, spent decades studying whether expert predictions actually hold up. He analyzed over 82,000 forecasts across economics, politics, and finance. His conclusion was blunt. Experts performed worse than random chance, worse than a coin flip. And the more TV appearances an expert had under their belt, the worse their forecasting record tended to be. The financial world is no exception. One U.S. advisory firm tracked 68 high-profile market forecasters, the kind you see on CNBC, quoted in the Wall Street Journal, invited to speak at conferences. They graded over 6,500 predictions. The average accuracy rate? Just 46.9%. You'd do better flipping a quarter. Yet every time the market wobbles, every correction, every rate hike, every geopolitical tremor, the same cycle plays out. The cable news chyrons light up, the gurus appear, the predictions flood your feed, and millions of Americans make emotional financial decisions based on forecasts that are statistically little better than guesswork. This isn't cynicism, it's actually the most empowering thing you can know about your financial future. Because it means you don't need to predict the market. You don't need to find the right guru, time the next crash, or panic every time someone on TV says the sky is falling. The Americans who have built lasting wealth weren't the ones who listened to the loudest voices. They were the ones who made a plan, stayed the course through the noise, and let time and discipline do the heavy lifting. Ehrlich was certain. Simon was patient. Only one of them cashed a check.